Alright, Dina,
Alright.
tell us what we're doing in this series and why we're doing it.
For the last 10 years or so, ever since I started blogging, anytime you see any positive media about Muslim women wearing headscarves, it's always with the narrative of breaking the stereotype, which is all good and everything, but how many years are we all going to be just breaking the stereotype, which kind of takes away from what they're actually doing and their actual skills, because these girls that we're meeting are just living their life. They're not doing whatever it is they're doing because they want to break the bloody stereotype.
In an ideal world, what would you hope some of your fans or people that watch the video would kind of take away?
Just to feel inspired that they can literally do whatever it is they want to do, and that wearing a headscarf or being a Muslim really shouldn't stop them.
So, we're at your yard.
Yeah, so I got my sister down, my twin sister, I got my brother here as well, and obviously we've got our husbands here, and I just thought it might be nice to have an open conversation, get everybody's feelings out about lots of things. Have a buttered bagel. Have one. Go on, Arabic hospitality, eat. Now, eat, you have to. It's actually rude if you don't take one. Sid, right, what do you think about me wearing a scarf?
Oh, straight in.
Yeah.
Flip the neck, okay, nice. I think people get it confused, they just think it's for women, but it's not, it's for men as well. You're not meant to attract the opposite sex.
What I know from men's hijab is that they should be not looking in the first place. It literally tells you to lower your gaze before it tells women to cover up.
When you say it, you're talking about the Quran.
I'm talking about just their religion. If we look at modesty as a whole, what do you think, TC?
My cousin told me she was in uni, she wanted a part-time job, and she was like, oh, I can't work in a lot of shops if I wear a scarf.
Yeah.
I didn't believe her. I said, that's a joke, obviously, because you can't get away with that stuff. So then she was like, okay, try it. So I went to and I was like, hey, I want a job here, I heard you're recruiting. And they were like, oh, okay, I can give you an application, but you can't apply if you're wearing a scarf. And I was like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I was like, this is and he was like, yeah, well, it's just part of the rules. The manager you won't even get an interview because you're wearing a scarf. He was like, if you want the job, you could agree to take your scarf off when you go into work and then put it back on when you leave. We just came back from Palestine. We were walking around the old city and you couldn't tell the difference half the time because Jewish women, Christian women and Muslim women were all dressed in exactly the same head coverings, long skirts, the religious ones, they're all dressed exactly the same. Where Prophet Ibrahim is buried, it was in a mosque and they split it, it's half synagogue, half mosque, and his tomb is there's a window for the mosque to look in and a window for the synagogue because they both worship the same God and they both believe in the same prophet, so it's literally exactly the same, but it's split because they're you're praying in the same place to the same God, but it's split.
Harry, how did you become a Muslim and when?
We were up really late, debating all the time about the origins of the universe and is there a creator? If there is, how can there be one? And I had a little tick list in my head, so it became kind of fun because we would often just talk about it every week. I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll go to Sid and we'll have this little debate. It just went from there, sort of started to connect dots and make sense.
It's different nowadays for men, I reckon. So you have the which you're not allowed to show. You have your aura, which is the knees to the navel. Some people would say, oh yeah, it's okay for you, Sid, to dress the way you are. But I know in my head, it's not acceptable Islamically for me to dress like this.
Skinny jeans.
Why?
It's not, because I'm attracting.
You're trying to say you look sexy?
Yes, you know what I mean? Right? The purpose is not to attract the opposite sex. That is the purpose of hijab.
I don't believe the hijab is there not to attract the opposite sex. It's there to protect you from certain situations, but it's also there as identity.
What is it protecting you from?
To look visibly like a Muslim. So for example,
what's it protecting you from?
So for example, because I'm in hijab, I don't go to certain social situations. I won't go to a club at night where people are drinking and that. That is literally because I wear hijab.
Why?
That's probably one of the things.
It's not about because I'm not going to be allowed in. It's because it's just not an appropriate setting for me.
For example, a guy in work said to me, oh, how long is your hair? The other day, he said, oh, how long is your hair? And I was like, I don't know. I can't even remember. And he was like, because I don't wear it down. And he was like, oh, okay. He was like, let me see it then. I've known you for about 2 years. Let me see your hair. And I was like...
You said that?
Way! say.
Right,
said that,
it
tell
happens
me.
all the time, by the way. So I was like, mate, there's loads of parts of you that I haven't seen. Do I ask you to see them because I've known you for 2 years?
Did you say that to him?
Yeah. And
You
he
said
just
that to
laughed. He just laughed. He was like, ugh.
Yeah, because it's such a dumb
Because I was
question.
like, what, do I go and say, oh mate, I haven't seen your armpit, let me see it, I haven't seen it for I've known you for 2 years, I haven't seen it.
I'm very back and forth sometimes. I'm like, well, just you can wear what you want. If you want to take your scarf off, that's your choice.
Obviously you can wear what you want.
Well, no, because you say, oh, I'm doing
Why
what...
does he think you that?
No, that's not...
By the way,
Look, oh my god!
Yeah, but
I've never
wait.
disagreed with you. I've never disagreed with you. Why is that a problem? Why
Can we just get to that? Can we just get to that?
Can
we just...
So we clearly all have different opinions and that, but you know, end of the day, guys, we're all Muslims and we've managed to live together for the last 4 years, and you two since April. This is just like a prime example, isn't it, of like Muslims arguing with each other, and it's all down to interpretation at the end of the day. On that note, what advice, Yusuf, would you give to a young Muslim girl growing up in the UK now?
Don't feel restricted by the religion. Don't look at it as something you have to follow, but like guidelines, as we were saying earlier.
I would read yourself, question everything. It's not wrong to question anything in the religion. You're allowed to ask questions. Anything you see in the Quran you don't feel is right, you question it. I'm the same. Like I was like, why can't we eat pork? So I researched into it and I found out the reasons that you can't eat pork is because they're made up in such a similar way to humans that we can basically absorb fats from them easier. We can absorb this worm or like parasites from them that we wouldn't be able to absorb from other animals because our intestines are made in such a similar way. Also, they're one of the cleverest animals. They're not dirty. They look dirty because they don't have sweat glands. So to keep themselves cool, they have to roll around in the mud. So actually, they're great. There's nothing wrong or dirty about them. We can't eat them for health reasons. Yeah. And that's just to protect us. It's not because they're wrong. Whereas most Muslims, they won't even let their kids watch Peppa Pig because they think pigs are like the devil because it says don't eat pork. Which is ridiculous.
So is that kind of a normal thing in your household?
Yeah, that's a really normal thing. Like when we all get together, we all have these debates. And did you see like Tusi and Perry? The way they were going at each other, that's so normal. Even me and Sid, the way we were going at each other. We always disagree with things. And I think at the end, me and Tusi just like are so exhausted by it. We're just like, you know what, these men are never going to see our point of view, so might as well give up. But then they probably feel the same.
Do you ever think it's like that's a problem that there are so many different opinions in ultimately the same faith, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, so for me, it's just a prime example of what goes on in my comment section with all the arguments from all the Muslim viewers about how I dress or about whatever it is I could be doing in my videos, but everybody arguing with each other are all Muslims, and they all, at the end of the day, believe in the same thing.
What do you think is the best way of changing kind of opinions?
Just being more open to things. For example, like some of these girls that we're going to go see, literally a few years ago I would have been like, well, that's not right what she's doing with a hijab on, because that's totally not modest, or like how is she doing that with a hijab? But now I'm just like, well, why not? Literally, what is so wrong that she's doing, literally? So if I can start opening my mind to it and being more accepting of what people want to do, then why can't everyone else?